So before we talk about the other way of moving an object, there's another preference which I forgot to talk about, and that's the particle size. It's set pretty low, and if you're not using a lot, if you're just using individual ones and not particle systems, you could make it bigger. You'll notice as I adjust this, little orange dot's getting bigger. I don't know why I didn't do it yesterday. I think I adjusted the 3D view particle size. Anyway, let's go with that. Much easier to see. Okay, so we have this particle, and right now it's pretty close to the microphone, right? Because our scale is 2 inches, so it's like 8 to 10 inches away, or whatever, something like that. Anyway, so instead of doing keyframing, the other way we can move a particle is with what's called a movement modifier. If I select the audio track here, these are all the parameters connected to that, and movement modifier is one of them. So we're going to add a straight line movement velocity. And these are the controls that come up. So if I just kind of scroll through, you'll see we have movement now automatically added. And what's happening is the particle is moving 10 meters per second on the x-axis, 10 meters per second on the y-axis, 10 meters per second on the z-axis. So what that means is the x-axis is left to right movement, y-axis is front to rear. It's kind of rescaling, so you can't really see it, but take my word for you, it's moving front to rear. And the z-axis is up-down movement. So if we change this view to a side view, you'll see it's also not just moving away, it's also moving upwards. So right now we're moving, this is front to back, so we're actually moving upwards. So the object is moving away and up. So let's talk about these parameters and how to make it do what we want it to do. So I'm going to go back to, well, actually let's leave it on the side view and watch. As I go to the z parameter and I change this to 0 meters per second, we no longer have movement upwards. All right, we're just going to have movement forward and to the side. I'm going to change this to our top view so we can kind of see it both happening. Okay, so you see it's moving, this is the top view, it's moving diagonally, and from the side it seems like it's just moving forward, but it's because we can't tell the other movements. Now let's move this back to top view. Okay, so cool. So right now we have the object moving diagonally. If we want it to move just in a straight line away from us, we can just change this to 0. And now the object is just going to move in a straight line away from us. But I like the diagonal movement, so I'm going to change this back, put it back to 10. Okay, so we have this diagonal movement away from us. The nice thing, at least for me, about using the movement modifier instead of keyframing is all we need to do is we can just shift where it is. We don't have to worry about keyframes, and it just moves the particle in space, keeping that movement. And it makes things a lot easier. And then it also makes it easier if we want to just raise it above us. Let's go to the left view on this one. All right, if we want to just raise it above us a little more or a little less, we can do that without having to worry about keyframes. So for simple movements that are just straight lines, we don't need it to sort of change in the middle of movement. I always like to go with movement modifiers. Let's hear what this sounds like. Okay, let's make it a little higher, a little more above us. Again, we don't have to look at the keyframes, which is what I like.